Now this is Amon. This is the last god of chaos, Amon. And this is the history or the attributes of Amon. Amon means the hidden one or the invisible one. His personification is air, even though he is sometimes identified as a ram, as seen at the temple of Amon in Karnak, where ram-headed sphinxes are lined up the entrance. Amon is one of the gods of ancient Kemet that always appeared in the form of a human being. Amon later amalgamated with the sun god called Re to rule the universe. This amalgamation created what is known today as Amon-Ra or Amon-Re. Amon's personification, as I stated earlier, is air. But this is what is credited to Greek philosophy. But it is the personification of ancient Kemetic god called Amon. Greeks have used it as part of their philosophy, which I just don't understand. These are the ram-headed sphinxes that lined the entrance of the temple of Amon in Karnak in Egypt today. This picture was taken while I was on a study tour with the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations, ASCAC, in 2007. This is the picture of Amon's wife, called Amunet or Mut. Mut, or Mut, spelled M-O-O-T, means mother. She's the wife and mother of Khonsu, the son of God. Let me repeat that. She's the wife of Amon and mother of Khonsu, the son of God. This vulture-headed goddess is a master of the sky who took the female shape of a falcon with a double crown on her head. Let's go back so that you can take a look at that. This is Mut or Amunet. Part 2. The gods of order and arrangement in the cosmos are represented by 9 gods in one god head called the Ennead. Here, Atum, the source of the Ogdoad, is also retained as the source of the gods of order and arrangement. Atum names 4 pairs of parts of his body, and thus create 8 gods, who together with himself become 9. And these are the gods and goddesses of order, or the Ennead. You have the Atum as the leader, with his son, called Shu, and his daughter, called Tefnut. Shu and Tefnut became husband and wife. Shu and Tefnut also procreated Geb and Nut. So you can see from Atum, you have Shu, you have Tefnut, you have Geb, and you have Nut. So instead of Ptah being the leader of the gods, after the chaos came into existence, and Ptah assigned the responsibilities of running the gods of order to Atum. Let's find out the personification of Atum. But before we do that, Geb and Nut also procreated. And the first child was called Asaa, now called Osiris by the Greeks, and Asaase, now called Isis by the Greeks, and Seth, now known across the globe as Satan and Nephyrs. Here again is the picture of Atum, the god Atum, with his staff while holding the Nkwa, which the Europeans call the Ankh, but it's an Akan name called Nkwa, which stands for life. Atum was a creator god that made himself. He was the first to emerge from the watery mouth through a volcanic eruption and sat on the mound. As I explained earlier, the mound is Ptah. With the god Ptah, the god whose utterances created the universe, Atum created other gods to assist him in running the world. His personification, fire. These are the words of Atum himself. One and only true God, I am. The God Atum spoke. There was no heaven, no earth, no serpents, no reptiles. All these are produced out of the primeval mass of water of Nun or Menu. Now somebody will ask me, how come these names, you got two names here? This is how Africa is structured. Africa has so many languages. So Nun could be the word for water or the endless water in one region, and Menu could be same endless water in another region. I spoke a word that controlled my mind, that set the foundations that became the basis of all that I created from that time forward. I was with myself. Neither Shu nor Tefnut did I create yet. I alone set the basis in my mind, the creations of all other things that they later made, also of which they caused to be materialized through birth. I, with my own shadow, produced my offspring of the god Shu, that is light, heat, and atmosphere, and the goddess Tefnut, moisture and humidity. From one god, I became three gods. Now that is the god Atum talking about who he is. I even talked about the other god that he procreated, the god Shu and the god Tefnut. The god Shu and the goddess Tefnut. The next slide. This is the god Shu. The personification of Shu is air, and the personification of Tefnut is moisture. The god Shu was the first child of Atum. He was a twin with a girl called Tefnut. They were married. The personification of Shu is air. And this is Tefnut. Tefnut was the second child of Atum, who was also a twin sister of Shu. They later became husband and wife. They then procreated Geb and Nut. The personification of Tefnut was moisture. You even saw earlier, said moisture and humidity. This is the picture of Geb. Now Tefnut, or Shu and Tefnut, procreated Geb. And Geb's personification was the earth. He was a male god whose father was Shu and mother Tefnut. He was born a twin with a sister called Nut, who became his wife. And this is the picture of Nut. Nut's personification was a sky. So she was a sky goddess. So that's why you see her, hovering over the place. Her father was Shu and mother Tefnut. She was born a twin with a brother called Geb, who was also her husband. Based on the Memphite theology, they procreated 4 children. Asaa, also known as Osiris by the Greeks. Asaase, also known as Isis by the Greeks. Seth, known today as Satan, and Nephyrs. Let's take a look at these 4 gods. This is a picture of Asaa. Asaa, or Osiris, according to the Memphite theology, was the first son of Geb and Nut. Asaa had 2 sisters and 1 brother. The 2 sisters were Asaase, or Isis, and Nephyrs. The brother was Seth. Sa in Guruni, language of or the Frafra people, or Grushi in Ghana, means rain. Sa is in Guruni, language of the Frafra people of Grushi in Ghana. The person named after rain is Asaa. It is well known that Asaa, whom they call Osiris, was the god of vegetation. There cannot be any vegetation unless there's rain. Let's take a look at the goddess Asaase. The goddess Asaase, known as Isis by the Greeks, was the sister and wife of Asaa. Now, it came to a point whereby there was some power struggle within the 4 children that were procreated by Geb and Nut. So we'll get to Seth later, but Seth was able to kill his brother and cut his brother's mortal remains into pieces and threw them across the land of Kemet. So when Asaase learned that her husband was killed by their brother, Seth, it was Asaase who went around Kemet looking for her husband's mortal remains, finding them, and then putting them together for him to rise. So when they talk about resurrection, the first God to rise from death was Asaa.